Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Adam Interviews, where we are talking to folks in our community, doing things of note. And my guest today, I had the great fortune of interviewing for this series before it became this streaming series. About 7 years ago, we went to what's now the Wester Auditorium Theater. It was just the Auditorium Theater, I guess, at the time. And I interviewed Albert Nocciolino, an incredibly impressive individual. And I want to get into his history again for those who missed that interview however many years ago it was. But the reason that we have him here today is because we have a new season of RBTL coming our way. And first, Albert, welcome. Thank you so much.
Good to be with you.
Yeah, so this is exciting. I've been taking my son to RBTL shows for many years now. Musicals have always been a huge part of my life. Starting with, I think at my temple, we did a Purim rendition of, what was it? Wizard of Oz. So ever since then, I was hooked. But no, it's been a wonderful experience, and the performances that you bring in and your entire team, exemplary, just fantastic.
Well,
thank you for that.
Thank you.
So before we get into the nitty gritty of what's on tap here, what do you think about the lineup?
Well, I'm a little prejudiced. I think that we have a spectacular lineup. One of the ways I like to describe it, Adam, is that, we work very hard to find balance and to bring the best of Broadway, the best of the new Broadway, along with classics. And particularly, if we can, try to find shows, as you just mentioned, that we can bring young people to, families can come to, a way to introduce theater to young people, because it's such an extraordinary experience. It's still live, which for many of our young people, not very many things that they do that's not on a tablet or a phone or something. So we work very hard at trying to put together a program every year that represents the combination of all of that.
Yeah, and you do a wonderful job at that, because a lot of people will come for the nostalgia of it, and then others will want to see the Broadway show that they missed. Maybe it was out of their price point, or they just couldn't get to it in New York City. So, like I got to see Hamilton at the Auditorium Theater, that because I just couldn't get to the New York City show. So you bring those new opportunities as well. And by the way, a side note, I know we're going to talk about The Lion King, but that was technically, I suppose, my son's first musical, because he was in my wife's belly at the time. Oh. And we saw that here, and it was just incredible. So that was 2011, right? I think. And what a performance. And then to have the Garth Fagan connection. And all that.
We remind everyone that Garth Fagan was a choreographer of Lion King, and won a Tony Award for it many years ago as well. And then it still holds up. The beautiful movement in that show, among everything else about that show, and particularly the spectacle. And you mentioned, we will talk about it, but when children come to see that show, I love it, because you see their eyes wide open and their mouths when that parade started coming down the aisle, looking at it. I experienced it with my own grandchildren last year. They came for the very first time, and it was just, I was almost emotional just watching them react. It was just spectacular.
Yeah, I'm getting the chills just thinking about it. But the first one that we're going to see, and it's very special in several different ways, but Boop. Betty Boop, obviously a favorite of many over the years. Right. I honestly, I pride myself on knowing a little bit about musical theater. I didn't know anything about this, so please.
This is a new show adapted from the comic strip Betty Boop, which was actually a little before my time as well. And they like to say she came off the black and white pages of the comic books and into a live show where Betty Boop finds her way in New York City and all that goes with it, and enjoying the life and the reality of being no longer just on the page, so to speak. What we like about this show is that it's a classic book musical, in that it's a story, choreography, and music directed by Jerry Mitchell, who's won the Tony Award for many shows, and he's directed Legally Blonde and Kinky Boots and Hairspray and La Cage aux Folles, and just a terrific director who took on this show and brought it to life. And it's a fun show, and it's a family show too. It's for all audiences, and it is a story of Betty Boop. And we're excited because we're actually starting the tour,
which is very impressive,
right here in Rochester.
And so that is no small feat or jewel, if you will, to obtain. in Rochester, New York, and there are certain perks that come with that.
Absolutely. We're so fortunate here in New York State that our state legislators created a program called the New York State Theatrical and Musical Tax Credit Program, which in many ways mirrors the Film Tax Credit Program, which simply means that if you find your way to upstate New York and open a national Broadway tour in one of our communities, and it's not just Rochester, it's Buffalo and Schenectady and Elmira and all those markets, you're eligible for a tax credit. Well, that's great. What does that mean? It means, for instance, that Boop will be coming here 4 weeks before the week of the engagement with over 100 cast and crew, staying in our hotels, eating 3 meals a day, hiring local labor. And people that know me know that I love numbers and like telling about numbers, but that reflection of that commitment is over 4,000 hotel room nights.
Yeah.
3 meals a day for all those people's 8,000 meals.
Right.
And then when you add all of that up, it's millions of dollars that'll be spent here and provides an enormous economic impact for the community. They love coming to the Western Auditorium Theater. They love the staff. They love the crew. They like working here. We opened Clue last year here and did the same thing. So Boop will be coming here, spending 4 weeks with us, launching a national tour right here in Rochester, New York, before they go around the country.
That's incredible. I'm looking forward to that tremendously. And by the way, I want to step back before we go on, because he wouldn't bring it up on his own, but Albert Nocciolino is a jewel in his own right for our area. Obviously, he works on bringing in the musicals and whatnot, but he also is an investor and a player within the Broadway industry, and he's been there for decades. And obviously, over the last 20 years, we've seen Broadway take on almost a different life. Like it's been, I mean, just financially, it's become a juggernaut.
Particularly coming out of COVID, Adam, it's the cost of producing has gone through the roof, so to speak. I mean, a new musical today on Broadway is minimum of $20 million. And the process of recoupment, which is a term we use to earn your money back, forget making a profit, has become challenging. But yet we have theaters full. We're finding a lot of plays with stars are filling a lot of our theaters right now. But for those of us out here on the road, we really are dependent on new musicals. So myself and a group that I represent of performing arts centers around the country work real hard at supporting and developing new musicals, shows that will find their way out on the road, because we've built these franchises, so to speak, where we've made a commitment to our local communities, where we bring in 7, 8, 9 Broadway shows a year, 9 or 10 weeks of theater, and we've talked about what it means. I mean, certainly there's a quality of life, and certainly there's the education component and the entertainment component, and then, of course, the economic impact. But we have to have shows. We have to have product. So we work real hard. I spend a lot of my time involved in that. But thank you for bringing that up.
Of course, and he brings shows in not just to Rochester, but correct me if I'm wrong, Buffalo, Syracuse, Elmira. I mean, all upstate New York, the wonderful musical theater, the professional musical theater that we see a lot of it, Albert has his hand in. And again, I want to point out, like really, Broadway was always big, but not like it is today, yet you got into it 40 some odd years ago, something like that.
About 40 years ago.
Yeah.
A long time
Not
ago.
to age you, but
no, that's okay. I started when I was 16. No, I've watched the evolution of it, and I've watched the growth of it as well, and I've watched the growth particularly on the road. I mean, when I started here in Rochester many years ago, they were doing 1 or 2 nights of Broadway. Now we bring in a minimum of a week for every show. We had 800 subscribers. Now we have 9 or 10,000 subscribers, depending on the season. So, and then that story resonates across the country. It's the same story. Performing arts centers that have become the anchors of a lot of our urban cores around the country have made a commitment to renovating them and being able to house these big musicals. You mentioned Hamilton or Lion King. They come in with 20 plus trucks. These are big shows,
Incredible.
And the producers have made a commitment to replicating exactly what you see on Broadway on the road. So our audiences here in Rochester, when they see Lion King, will look just like the Lion King on Broadway.
Yeah.
But to do that has been a financial commitment to the venues, and then a commitment to deliver the shows on a regular basis. So.
Yeah, it's impressive, and the setup time is just remarkable as well. That's a story in and of itself. How did you get your start in all of this?
Oh my, that's a long
All right,
story.
all right. We'll come back to it.
I'll make it. I'll
All
give you.
right.
I mean, when I was in college, first of all, I've always had an affinity for entertainment. I
Yeah.
actually acted a little bit when I was in junior high before I started playing football and running track, and the classic story, But I was involved at college and bringing concerts to campus, and was a finance major and thought, I don't want to do this. I want to be somehow involved in the entertainment business. I actually started my company when I was 22 years old.
Wow. Good for you.
And here we are.
Incredible. And where were you, by the way? Where did you go to high school?
I went to school in Binghamton, New York. High school
Yeah.
in Binghamton, New York. Went to school at the University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia, and really got an extraordinary exposure to the entertainment and classical arts down in Philadelphia and Broadway. And here I am.
Yeah, native son, helping out Binghamton and our entire area now. So moving on, I believe the next one, you're going to have to correct me, is Hell's Kitchen.
That's correct. The Alicia Keys musical, yeah. This is a story loosely based on her life. A 17-year-old Allie is a character who's got this passion but has to figure out how to make all of it work for her. The story is driven by Alicia Keys' beautiful songs and music, but she also wrote some songs just for this show. It's a classic book musical with a story, but choreography is spectacular. And we think this will resonate with our younger people and bring a lot of new audiences to the theater. And her music is, just incredible. And she's committed to the show as well. So
yeah, and it's interesting seeing these musicals pull from pop music and bringing it in. We see it, it's not pop, but I'm saying popular music that wasn't created for the musical itself. Buena Vista Social Club, things like that.
Exactly. That's really well said, Em. I think a good example of that is we had Anne Juliet earlier this year with Max Martin, who wrote all these major hits for these artists. It's not a story about Max Martin. It's a story about Romeo and Juliet and about Shakespeare, but told through this music in a contemporary way that appeals to a younger audience. And that's what happens with Hell's Kitchen as well. But once they get there, they're going to find this beautiful story and wonderful musical that really resonates, I think, with a lot of different audiences.
Yeah. What I love about that too, it's like playing a piece of music for your kid for the first time for your child. You get to almost listen to it for the first time again in a new way.
It's a different way, right?
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
And particularly when you're listening to it and somebody's acting on stage and telling a story with that music, you hear it and the lyrics somehow have a different meaning, often. So yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah, I love
great
that.
Point.
Notebook.
Yeah, based on a Nicholas Sparks novel, again made into a movie. The story of Allie and Noah who fall in love and under a really difficult situation. One of the most beautiful scores in a very long time, written the music and lyrics by Ingrid Michaelson. Bring Your Tissues. It's a really beautiful love story, and people seem to be really enjoying it because of the story. And again, the emotion that takes place and the difficulties in the relationship and trying to maintain it. And then what happens as they get older. I don't want to give away the whole story, but and Ingrid's music is spectacular.
Oh.
Once again, she's written the music and lyrics just for this show. You could listen to the score by itself and say, well, this is a great album, but yet incorporated into the show and in telling the story just works beautifully.
Yeah, I cannot wait to see that one. And then, just adapting movies into musicals. We saw it with Mrs. Doubtfire and whatnot. What's the secret there? Because you have its own thing in the memory, in the public's eye. So how do you figure out how to make it its own thing while paying homage to what it once was?
Well, first of all, I think to take a step back, I think we're seeing a lot of these adaptations of novels and movies for some really economical reasons. I hate this word, but these titles are branded.
Yeah.
There's recognition, there's familiarity, and the door opens in a different way than you would a show that's had no, any kind of recognition in any shape or form. But then there's a responsibility that comes along with it, and trying to adapt it to the stage and making it work. And often it does, and sometimes it just doesn't.
Right.
But that's the secret. That's where the creative team comes in. I certainly don't want to pretend to be that person, but you can feel it if it works. You can really feel it if it works. You'll feel it in Notebook. You'll certainly feel it in Hell's Kitchen. And I think it's become a way of life for us today to have shows produced coming from some other place.
Yeah. Which is, it's an evolution of the industry. So.
Absolutely. Again, yeah, right, for sure.
So the next one you've had a big hand in, if I'm not mistaken. Again, you're gonna have to correct me, but The Outsiders is kind of your baby in a way.
Yeah, I've been involved with The Outsiders. I was telling some folks last night. I actually went to 3 readings along the way, or workshops, which are the process of development, and help raise some money for it. Certainly not involved in the creative process to be completely forthcoming, but it's a show that really resonated with me. Again, it has a brand. It has a name that, I remember when we announced this show last year, and then it happened again last night. The audience roared. Mm-hmm. They just roared when we put out the title of the show.
Yeah. And what's it about for those who don't know?
Well, this is a story of these 2 gangs, these 2, from the either side of the tracks, so to speak, and the one led by Pony Boy and his family, his brothers and his friends, are just never feel like they're going to make it against the wealthier Soch, as they say, or as I said last night, Sogs.
Yeah.
The other group, but a story of finding their way. S.C. Hitton's book has been read by millions of people. And then Francis Ford Coppola did a movie years ago with a lot of young actors who found their way later on in many other movies. But it's a story of coming to life and finding your way and dreaming and hoping that you can get through this part of your life. And people seem to really enjoy it. The music is great. Choreography is spectacular. There's a fight scene in the rain that's just it takes your breath away. But people seem to know it, seem to want to see it. Won the Tony Award for Best Musical, and we're really excited it's coming here.
Let me ask you this. Obviously, the sets are incredible. Getting these big names here, the talent. So I saw Funny Girl last season, and the lead was remarkable.
She was spectacular.
I just like jaw-dropping. And let me say this. This is not a knock on the other cast. They were fantastic. But she was so on a different level. And I thought to myself, I didn't do any research into her, but this is truly Broadway talent.
No question. Look, we say to everyone that what you see on the stages across America is what you see in New York. Fortunately, and maybe unfortunately, there's so much talent. You go to a casting call and you see hundreds of young people waiting for one part, and one as talented as the other, and one more fortunate to be selected than another. But it doesn't mean that they're not as talented. And then you get a show that goes out on the road, and for some, it's their first time doing it. For others, they'll leave New York and go out on the road because they actually make a little more money on the road. They get the same salary, but get per diems. And so you see extraordinary talent coming to our stages, and you're so right. There's sometimes there's this conception. I think that people think, and I hate when they say this. It's off Broadway. Well, no, this is not off Broadway. Off Broadway is downtown in New York,
exactly,
in the small little 200-seat theaters.
Right.
This is national touring Broadway.
Yeah.
And this is a commitment made by the producers and the creative team. Look, when we have Boop here, Jerry Mitchell will be right here, directing the show and putting the show and responsible for casting the show and making sure that the cast will be as good as it was on Broadway.
Yeah.
And you're so right. And we are fortunate enough to get this talent that comes out with all these shows.
And a lot of the talent that's in the shows, they go back and forth.
Exactly.
They are Broadway talent.
Yeah, you see that all the time. You see that with Wicked, particularly a show that's been a long-running show.
Yeah.
They'll do this, go back out on the road and do it, go to London and do it. So yeah, we're very fortunate that we get quality talent with these shows.
Yeah. By the way, Wicked. Oh,
yeah.
I purposefully didn't learn anything about it until I saw it at West Her. Blew my socks off.
Yeah, and then of course the movie didn't hurt us all, at all. I mean, they generated a whole new audience. Seeing many young people, including my grandson, saw the movie before they saw the show. So,
oh my goodness, incredible stuff. So now back to Lion King. We talked a little bit about that. What's it like to bring that back to Rochester?
It's nothing less than special. This is a spectacle. This is a great story, a beautiful story, a family story. People don't realize that, the circle of life. You think about what takes place in that show, but how they brought it to life on stage. the extraordinary puppeting of the puppets. And I can't find enough superlatives to describe it. And then the choreography and the way that they move, and what Garth Fagan did all those years ago is unbelievable. But it wouldn't continue to do the business that it's doing if it didn't resonate with audiences.
That's right.
And people go to the theater and just are blown away and come back again and again and again to see the show, and often to bring people with them who haven't seen it before. It's a special show, just so special. And we're so fortunate we're going to have it here for 3 weeks.
Yeah. That's incredible. That's incredible. Yeah. You're absolutely right. It's like, it's like, why the same reason I take my kid to ESL Ballpark to see the Red Wings. It's now become intergenerational.
There you go. And, when you think about 3 weeks and say 60,000 people will be coming to the Webster Auditorium Theater.
That's incredible.
I mean, again, I know I throw out numbers a lot, but just if you listen to that and then manifest it any way you want to, it's pretty extraordinary, whether it means it's an economic impact or that 60,000 people went to the theater.
Yeah.
Just simply went to the theater to see this beautiful show.
Remarkable. So then we've got, let me get this right here in my head, Sound of Music.
Classic.
Yeah. Oh.
No other word. I hate the word revival. People heard me say that last night and other times.
I mean, you are the master of revival. Oklahoma.
Yeah.
You've had a couple others that you've really been very...
No, and I would say Oklahoma is a revival. I would say Sound of Music is a classic.
That's a good point.
I would say Fiddler on the Roof is a classic.
Yeah.
And I think the difference is that these are shows that bring in new audiences, younger audiences. Sound of Music is going to be in December. Mm-hmm. We're going to have families coming to see the show.
Yeah.
And that, for me, helps define that word in a way differently, I think, than revival. You can bring this show back and back and back and again and again and again. And then you have another generation. You will have 10-year-olds that weren't even born 10 years ago when we had the show, or however long ago we had the show. And they know it, and they know that, once again, the movie and the beautiful score and all those songs, from Do, Re, Mi, pick one of them. So we're thrilled. I love bringing these shows. Rochester loves classics, by the way. It's amazing. Again, we were talking about this earlier, that classics seem to sell here. People want to see them. And we're thrilled to be able to bring Sound of Music back.
Yeah, every time I go, and it's the, what's that? I'm just drawing a blank here. The one where they sing about the rain in the Spain.
Oh, yeah.
And you had My Fair Lady.
My Fair Lady.
I went to go see that 2 seasons ago, and it was packed.
Yeah,
I mean, just packed.
Yeah, Fiddler on the Roof, same thing.
Oh, well, yeah. That one's great.
West Side Story falls in that category. There's some of them that really can hold up. And Sound of Music is one of them, and we can't wait.
Oh,
and I love that it's in December, because I really feel it's like a holiday show. So.
Oh yeah, that's going to be great. Right in the hills there and all that. Yeah. So I'm not jumping ahead here, but is Jersey Boys the last one? Are we hitting all 7 here?
Yeah, that's the last one. Okay. Yeah. So somehow this show's 20 years old already.
Wow, that's crazy.
I mean,
how is that possible?
When I was reminded of that several months ago, I was like, what?
Yeah.
How's that possible? And the last time we had it here will be over 10 years ago.
Wow.
And
time for a refresher.
Yeah, and I was asked, recently, why do you think this show has lasted this long and still continues to do the business? And I said, it's the music.
Yeah. It's
the music. I mean, Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons, it's these songs, whether it's Walk Like a Man, Sherry, pick a title. It's just been part of everybody's life for many, many years. And again, this might be repetitive, but what I love about this show is that, and this is not meant to be offensive at all, but it's really appealing to men.
Yeah, but hey, you want the audience, right?
Right. And so, so much of our demand is driven by the women who decide what they're going to go see and bring their families and their husbands and significant others to. Yeah. But this one, men want to come and see the story of Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons.
Isn't that true?
The Jersey Boys, the classic story about the rough and difficult times they had, but yet how the music held up after all these years, and all the dancing and choreography that comes with it. And
it's just about opening the doors to different people and showing them the way.
Yes.
Albert, I mean, this seems like one of those seasons where you might not want to go piecemeal, but might want to get the pass, right?
We hope that people will subscribe. Of course, that's the foundation of our business. But I think you just really nailed it. We have balance this year.
You really do.
We have what we look for ideally, and that's the best of the new, with Notebook and The Outsiders and Boop and Hell's Kitchen, and then the classic Sound of Music, Lion King, and now Jersey Boys could be considered after 20 years, and then shows for the family, Sound of Music, Boop, Lion King.
This is the
so
year.
It's a strong combination. I think people seem to be excited about it. We're excited about it. And so we're looking forward to a great season.
And if they come, they've got renovations. A lot of things have been spruced up in the building at West Her.
It's unbelievable what the RBTL has done under the leadership of Arnie Rothschild. Mm-hmm. He likes to use the word restoration. And I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Because they've done a remarkable job. If you haven't been to the theater to see what they've done, from the new entranceway and the drive-in for the handicap and the new circular drive entrance, to walking into this beautiful new corridor with the Floriano room wide open, and then the new lounges upstairs. People are coming to the theater, Adam, earlier. Yeah. Coming, having a cocktail, having a drink, having a coffee, having a bite to eat, because it's a better experience for everyone. And if we can make that experience for our theater goers, whether it's more restrooms, any of that, then it's better. It's good for all.
Absolutely. And look, I know that years ago there was a conversation about a performing arts center, and various cities are, and I'm sure it would have been beautiful. Maybe that's the right way to go. This is not me making a judgment on it. Rather, I'm using this to say that there's something magical about walking into that building, because I have so many memories there.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're thrilled that they've been able to accomplish this, and they're continuing to do more work. The entranceways have been all redone, the stairs out front, and they'll continue to do more work in the building, and I think it'll just be wonderful for the community. And we already know our patrons are reacting to it. They're responding and excited about it when they come. So, it just all contributes to that, to the commitment we've made to bringing the best of Broadway and having a great time when you come to the West Her Auditorium Theater.
And you, and again, your team, because no one operates alone, but you've done it. And I can't thank you enough, because life just hasn't provided the opportunity for me to get to New York City to see this stuff. So you've brought it to me and everyone else. So I'm very grateful.
I really appreciate it. We appreciate it. We had a great team. We worked real hard at it. And it wouldn't happen if people like you didn't come to the theater.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. So, by the way, it's been tickling my brain. Hopefully I didn't mispronounce your name at the very top, Albert Nocciolino.
You got it.
All right. Well, if I did at the very start of this, please forgive me, and I got it right at the end. So, Albert, thank you so much for coming in and
pleasure
sharing.
To be with you.
All right. So, Albert Nocciolino with RBTL, the presenter of these wonderful musicals, just an incredible lineup for the 2026-2027 season. You can go online, start to look at how to get tickets. And again, if you like all of them, you can get a subscription and become a member, if you will, of this very wonderful club. We're very lucky to have all of the people with RBTL and West Her in our area, and now to have all of these touring groups come and grace us with their incredible talent. So thank you once again to Albert Nocciolino, and thank you as always for watching and joining us for another episode of Adam Interviews, where we are bringing in folks in our community who are doing things of note. With that, take care, everyone.
Get the Rochester First streaming app today for everything you love from News 8 On Demand, plus exclusive shows you won't see anywhere else. Search ROC and download for free on Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV.